Alrighty. Hi guys. If we're rolling here, we'll see here if we're. I got some more DragonLance stuff to roll for you real quick. If I'm lucky here, we'll see if I can get it to play for you. Hold on just a second here. Let me get it set up.
What are we going to do? If these things keep portaling into our world like that from some other dimension, grief, that chaos thing was huge, and if the fiends are just going to keep sending armies of them into our world until it falls. Tars looked emphatically at the smouldering high-low tree line that the Chaos Dragon had left in its wake. It was lucky it had only gotten a spot, but look at that, it's gonna take decades to repair without magic. We're going to do the only thing we can do, little Kender. The Raz looked down at Tars and set the broken pommel of the DragonLance on the ground. It was still as tall as a hoopak staff to a Kender. The elegant carved wood hasp that the metal part of the lance sat in was still intact, with its dragon metal shaft core seemingly intact it appeared. I can fashion you a hoopak, little Kender, that will rival the greatest of all the hoopaks made by Kenderkin in Hilo. They burning our damn trees. Pez scoffed. We won't have a twig left if any more of them big hunkin' things comes through again. You think Azar is sore about pyrite? Oh, she's going to be seriously upset about that. Pez pointed toward the shore where the treetops still smoldered. Luckily a group of gnomes had doused the fire in minutes, albeit mostly from the malfunction of the Lukit water wheel sending an immense amount of water into the Channel Canal at once. The ensuing backwash were causing the water to be slightly turbulent, making it difficult for the boat crews to search for survivors in the rapidly fading dusk, leaving the burning from the treetop spots the only light. Still some Kender and gnomes in the boats held back tears, and blinked up sadly at their home nearly almost being destroyed and saved if not for pyrite blocking the escaping fiend from reaching its portal, but at a cost to its avenging red dragon wingman who bought its master time before it escaped. The body of that dragon now lay beached as the broken haft of the lance had pierced its eye, but albeit of the cost of its seriously hurting pyrite. Hooey! Elder Kronin whistled through his teeth and nudged Kronn, who smugly nodded but remained silent, only smirking. Them's big words, the Ruz Ironfeld. I'll even give you 20 men to help you stoke the forge and get it tempered hotter than hell. You won't break one of my hoopaks under normal circumstances. The silver-haired Kender shrugged and grunted. You can try? Kronin himself wiped a tear away before regaining his stoic composure. I'll take any advantage we can get to make sure these bastards know you don't mess with Hilo. Kronin caught himself. After all, he'd made a big deal about pronouncing it as high and low when he'd first heard Astrid's northern Urgothian accent say it the other way. Empress Damaris' daughter, she might be a snooty highborn, but she's on to something. Okay, we'll give her the benefit of the doubt, right son? Kronin looked toward Kronn, who also added, right, Pops. The highborn will get the benefit of the doubt. Wait. Oh come on, Dad. Because she's a girl. That ain't fair. But? Kronn frowned when Serinda nudged him besmirchingly, and he nodded again. Fine, we let Astrid. Duck-faced Damaris. Kronn. Serinda chided. Be nice, she's your cousin too. She is not, Kronn shot back. They tried to pick my name out of the hat when the babies was being divided in Kendamore. I seen Burfoot's birth certificate and he wasn't even matched with Damaris met Winger. Dunno why they sent that Hornslager dwarf woman after Tars that time to round him up for marriage. His mama was a leaf Jew. And my mother's father was a Blackbriar who married a Thistleknot. They'd have snatched me up instead of Tars. Kronn grinned sheepishly, alluding to the fact he didn't mind it was Tasselhoff Abd to be dragged off to Kendamore instead of him. Go ahead, Tars, you can marry Duckface. Kronn snickered as Kronin angrily popped him on his pointed ear for being a smart ass. The kids are going to look weird. All I'm saying, Pops, Tars has got to start braiding that top knot or he's gonna get it caught. They calls him Burfoot cause he picks up everything with that hair everywhere he goes. It's why we here in Urgoth wear our hair short so it don't get in our way when we fight. Kronn looked balefully at Tars, who just subconsciously combed his top knot and pretended to ignore what smart-ass Kronn had said, preferring just to politely nod to Elder Thistlenot unless Kronn take offense again and bully Tars. Kronn had loosened up on his chastisement of Tars, but he still wasn't going to let this top-knot-wearing landlubber weirdo Goodlund upstart go walking round Thistlenot or Windseed Manor like he owned the place all to himself. "Ha, Your Grace." The Raz laughed toward Kronn, who had already decided to test the weight of the hammer of Korras. Not even Pez Thoroughfoot could lift it from the ground unless he was given permission to do so. "You shall see me turn our misfortunes into wins. Have faith, little Kenders." The Raz turned back to Tars, who was still holding the lance pommel and wondering how the Raz was going to make a hoopak out of something that was good on the wooden part. It was made of elvish oak, but the metal part was snapped off and jagged. As it could be used as a crude cudgel, and maybe if Tars himself was inventive enough he could attempt to yoke it like a hoopak and use it that way. Tars could make a slingshot in about 10 minutes if he had the materials. "We do as your cousin suggested, we make bigger dragon lances, to be wielded by larger hands. The size of those things are not to be underestimated," Gil Thanas added. "I'm amazed Astrid survived." Gil Thanas caught himself as Laranna also seemed surprised he'd referred to Astrid by her name instead of the Kenderkin, or annoying brat. "She saved herself, she saved her dragon, and I will make no more doubt she is it were for a Kender. She has proficient skills." "How is she?" "Recovering, quite awake and quite adamant about Pyrite getting the utmost absolute care. She's more angry about the dragon being attacked." Sir Karl snapped the lance and panicked before he fell. Why did he jump out of the saddle knowing she was still strapped in there? "More than she is about almost dying." "She says," Sir Karl panicked. "Her little contraption that she and Pyrite rigged up on the saddle was ingenious. It saved her life. I've seen gnomes use them." "What are they?" Laranna looked quizzically at the large piece of tightly woven canvas and silk the squires had gathered up off the main courtyard when people on the ground saw a large shadow and the limp and obviously immobile injured gold dragon had floated down, albeit with the help of a tearful Kendermaid who safely made it to the ground from the air with her badly injured dragon alive because of a parachute. Tanis finished for her. The Kender isn't a gnome, and her inventions actually work sometimes. Laranna, however, looked in dismay at the massive amount of blood stained on the parachute. Once it had settled upon the wounded dragon and Astrid, everyone in the courtyard came running, horns blared and knights and squires, dwarfs, elven clerics, Kender, cooks, and maids. The Kendermaid's agitated and insistent screams and demands to help the bleeding Pyrite, who was herself telling the Kender to calm down even at the expense of her mighty breath, which came in labored wheezes. DM's note. Despite being attacked by a vicious red dragon, whom the unfortunate dragon rider broke off the end of his lance in a careless mishap, but one that not only injured his opponent but caused his own demise in the process. The two dragons collided midair, the rider being thrown from the saddle. He'd actually attempted to jump thinking his featherfall ring would save him despite abandoning both his dragon and Kender scout, but the Kendermaid still strapped into the saddle, screaming taunts and desperately holding on to dodge claws and lean back and away, while Pyrite clawed and fought the vicious red in a tussle. The dragons broke away as obviously Pyrite had taken a mortal blow. Astrid watched blood stream from the dragon's left wing as she desperately tried to slow her descent in a fall, but then lost it as the weight of her body started to gain terminal velocity. The Kendermaid, still buckled into her part of the back saddle, leaned forward and grabbed the pommel of the saddle and tugged with all her little might. The underside padding of the rider's saddle gave way in an instant, and a neatly folded piece of canvas attached to a line like a sail. Remember that Pez and Astrid are acrobats in their spare time. Pez is a sailor and also goes paragliding and sailing. Island Kender learned how to parasail their crafts for almost 200 years. They harness the winds and ride them as you would the roads, like a wagon. Astrid activates what becomes the first instant of a saddle-activated airbag and parachute to be used when riding a dragon, to not only protect the rider, but the dragon. If Pyrite had not acquiesced to wearing Astrid's safety harness saddle into battle, her as well as the dragon would be dead, it is certain. Trailer tease. There are more coming, but we've found one who can create hands that can wield lances unable to be held by human hands. Urgoth is healing magic, son. Pez said. Haber is the land, the earth, the rocks and the trees. The forest master of Urgoth, it's not a majestic unicorn as you encountered in Darkenwood. A low moan from the earth, it began to echo and the massive trees began moving. Dalamar steadied himself in the boat, the wind picked up as Dalamar watched the Mutane cliffs form a giant face which sighed sleepily. I already know of thee that disturb my sleep, of what do you want, mage? 1,000 voices echoed and whistled through the leaves of the trees in response, so much that both Dalamar and Pez were startled by the voice and almost capsized the boat.
Alright, y'all. What y'all think of that? Pretty cool, huh? Alright. Go ahead, get you something to drink, get set, and I'll come back here in a few minutes and I'll think about what else to run here. Alright, y'all. Stay tuned.